Zach, you brought a turd.
Yes, man. You can't. I brought a turd. It's right there. The name's right there, man.
Turd. There's a lot of cool cars on the show floor. I like the dumbest ones, and I think this is the best dumb build. It's so cool.
It is.
The Taurus SHO has a special place in my heart. I think they're just so special, and unfortunately, it's not a thing anymore, right?
No, it really died off. It really did.
But the special thing is that it came with a Yamaha motor, right? V6 front-wheel drive, which is probably one of the most powerful front-wheel drive cars. It was like so fast for its time.
Especially in the early 90s.
Yeah.
Of the early 90s, for the guys who don't know what this is a factory Yamaha 3-liter V6. And I mean, you're talking in 1989, the V6 Taurus had more power than an 89 Corvette. Like it's mind-boggling of the time.
Yeah, for whatever reason, they did it, and it made sense.
It did.
And it was a Yamaha motor in a Ford vehicle, and you can get it in manual, and you can do a bunch of front-wheel drive burnouts in it.
Yeah.
But this is a monster. This is nothing like what it was when it was new. Tell us, what is this? What are we looking at here?
All right, so I've been drag racing this car for the better yet of like 6 years, and it's also my first car. Like I drove this car to high school, owned it for 11 years, and really one of my top dreams over the past, say, 4 or 5 years is I want to race sport front-wheel drive, extreme front-wheel drive, and that class is basically ruled by Hondas for sport compact, right? So the old setup on a stock block and a stock Taurus SHO transmission, this car went 8.9 at 170 miles an hour.
Wow.
Quite handicapped, too, because we didn't have a drag race transmission. When we redid this chassis, we did everything to give any kind of advantage in sport compact. And this motor right here is a full one-off billet block from Australia, Bullet Race Engineering. We then made a mid-plate and a motor plate at Bill Draghi's Chassis Works, where the mid-plate also adapts this thing to a Honda K-Series transmission. So we're using a Honda transmission, and even wilder, the thing is capable of front-wheel drive and all-wheel drive. So when Bill built this chassis, we set up everything where it clears a transfer case, a viscous coupler, a drive shaft, the rear end. So if we ever get bored front-wheel drive drag racing, you're looking at a billet block, all-wheel drive, big turbo, lightweight Ford Taurus.
Wow. Okay, that's incredible. I don't even know what to say. So this setup is just so weird looking, but it's functional.
Yeah, so I love saying this because a lot of people look at the turbo placement and they're like, you wanted the attention, you just wanted to be weird, you want to be different. And I looked at it a little bit differently. As an engineering standpoint, race cars are real, in particular, where you put weight. So obviously the further weight you put out on the front tires on a front-wheel drive car, the more leverage that weight has. So why would we not take the second heaviest thing next to the motor and the transmission and put it out as far as possible on the car to give it the best weight advantage? So this turbo is mounted to where the stack right here is 45 inches in front of the front tire. Well, in drag racing, you have a 45-inch rule. It's basically saying nothing can be further than 45 inches from the front axle center line. So turbo is as far forward as possible, so we put the most weight on the front tires.
Got it. There's nothing sport compact about this thing.
No, it's not. But the best part about it is it's sport compact weight. Nobody would ever guess what this car weighs. It's absolutely unbelievable. Bill Draghi's Chassis Works spent probably about 4 months knocking this thing out. I mean, really fast. And the amount of weight that we were able to save off of this huge 4-door chassis. I mean, factory weight on this car was probably somewhere in the neighborhood of 3,400 pounds. This car right now granted, it doesn't have fluids and it doesn't have gears in the transmission. So we got like 200 pounds of weight that we're gonna be adding to the car. But as it sits, this car's 1,900 pounds.
No way.
1,900, I scaled it before I got here.
And on top of that, you still have glass?
Yeah, so we got factory front glass up here. We are missing some Lexan, but that's a real steel door. This isn't carbon. We run a carbon hood. We got a carbon trunk. This was a custom carbon wing that Bill Draghi Chassis Works actually built. This started off as a universal carbon wing from Quartermax that he cut, trimmed, and fit. The whole rear end of this car was out of it. All the floor pans were cut out of it. Everything, to get the car as light as we did, we went as far as literally cutting the floor out of the car, lightening the metal of the floor, and welding the metal back in.
Wow.
So it's still a stock chassis. It's still stock floor pan, stock firewall, stock everything. But the car sits on a 25-1 chassis, which is basically a Pro Mod chassis with a stock unibody on it.
It still has a license plate.
Yes, it does. I keep it on there for sentimental value. My dad was with me. This is my first car, like I said, and my dad was with me when we bought it when I was like 17. And you know how insurance is when you're young. You know, my dad was the one that registered it, insured it. My dad passed away 4 or 5 years ago, so the registration's still in my dad's name. That tag is in my dad's name, and it will always be on the car, always.
What an interesting build.
Yeah.
And I love that you still left the keypad here.
So we have jokes about this. Like we use a Fuel Tech ECU, and I mean that thing is like infinitely, like you can do whatever you want with it, right? We're gonna hook this keypad up one day to where we can do like tunes on the fly from the door code. You know, my tuner will be out here like pulling me in, you know, just turn it up a little bit while I'm not looking. It'd be great.
I like it. And the interior, very minimalistic here.
Yeah, very minimalistic, carbon everything. One thing that I'm really excited about on this car is that the shifter. The shifter is a KDN shifter, is the company who makes it. They're normally known for like DSM stuff. We use a Honda transmission, and this is one of the first Honda K-Series KDN shifters to go in it. But what's crazy about it is that it's a true lockout shifter. So in drag racing, you always have that problem where you're missing gears. Like you could go 1, 2, 1, you could go 2, 3, 2, you blow motors, you blow trans. That shifter, once you start, once you're out of first, you can't go back into first. Once you're out of second, you can't go into first. Like once you're out of third, you can't go back into third. So it's as simple as yanking the shifter back or forward, and you're hitting your next gear. You can drive the car so much harder. It's crazy.
Can you tell me about the motor package in terms of how much power it's making?
So obviously we haven't made any power with the billet. The billet is completely brand new. I can tell you that on a stock block, we made north of 1,200. On 34 pounds of boost, this car went 8.9 at 170. We've ran upwards of 48.
Wait, why is it that other people haven't used this Yamaha motor for other
the chassis?
racing?
The chassis scared everybody away. The motor of its time, like you said, it was way above and beyond its technology of the time. Just to show you, that crankshaft and that billet block, it's stock. That's a stock Taurus SHO crankshaft. We pulled it out of a field. It sat in a field for 5 years, like uncovered. Paint the crankshaft out of it, clean it up a little bit, regrind it, it's back in that motor. And that thing's ready to have 50, 60 pounds, 75 pounds of boost, whatever we can make, nitrous, don't matter.
What are you hoping to make?
All right, so the big thing with this car is it's a quest for sevens. All right, this car, I want to run 7 seconds. This car is going to run 7 seconds. Front wheel drive, in the rules, in the book for the Honda. We're going to use the same class legal turbo, the same class legal weight, the same class legal tire, except we're going to do it in a 4-door Ford Taurus. So that's my goal. This car's going to go 7 seconds.
And that whatever power it needs to have to get to there is what you're going to turn it up to.
Yeah, so like see this this wastegate right here, this electronic wastegate. Mm-hmm. We got that on there so we can just shut it. Like this wastegate ain't doing nothing, okay? It's here to get it down in first gear, and then that car gets out like 200 feet, you shut that thing. It's whatever the turbo is going to make is what it's going to make. If it don't make enough, we put some nitrous on top of it. That's how that works.
I love how dedicated you are to this cause. So what about the cooling system? Where's the cooling system?
All right, so the cooling system is pretty wild. This billet block is solid deck. We have no water in the block. So what we do is we weld the head shut at the bottom, and then we actually modified the heads where we're going to flow water from the inside or from one side of the head to the other side. So if you look really closely, we actually have some vibrant fittings right here, and these lines are going to pass directly through the valley. We have a outlet over here on this side of the head, which basically we just use an electric water pump, and we flow water from the Speed Factory radiator into the motor, into the head, back out the head, back into the radiator.
Yeah, because it doesn't need that much cooling. It just needs enough to
stay alive for 8 seconds.
Yeah, or 7.
Or 7.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah, 7 and change. Yeah, the Vibrant guys, they always pride themselves in having something so wild and
They do.
something interesting and show-stopping in their booth. And I think this really did the booth justice here at PRI.
It's been a blessing. It's been great over here. Vibrant has been on board for probably the better yet of 5 years, and the relationship that I had with Vibrant was pretty unique because I never asked for anything. I simply was using their products before I knew anybody out of Vibrant, and it was one of those things where, hey, you're using our old style clamps. We make these HD clamps. We'd love for you to try them out. I tried them out, and then eventually I had to have the whole catalog on this car. So, I mean, we have everything from Vibrant lines, all the fabrication material, the intercooler core, the water lines, the catch can. I mean, there is so much Vibrant on this car, and my race program would not be where it is today without Vibrant.
Long live the turd.